Let's talk about something many people feel but very few say out loud. Starting from scratch is challenging for anyone, but when you are in your mid 40s or beyond, it can feel almost impossible. By that point, you have dedicated a big part of your life to building a career you're proud of. You work weekends, you answer emails late at night, you miss dinners with people that you love because the project had to get done. You advocated for what was right when others stay quiet. You help people grow. You develop skills you never imagined you will have. Inside the organization, you became known as someone authentic, someone reliable, someone others could trust. You built a reputation that took decades to earn. And then something shifts. You start to feel uneasy in a way you cannot quite explain. The organization changes, the leadership changes, priorities change, and a quiet question begins to live in the back of your mind. When will it be my turn? Because when layoffs happen later in your career, they land differently. When you are younger, you tell yourself you will find something else. When you are older, it feels like the ground under your stability can disappear overnight. And I saw this long before it became personal for me. About 10 years ago, while I was still climbing the corporate ladder, people with 20 and 30 years in the same company were suddenly being laid off. Back then, I noticed it, but I didn't internalize it. I was experienced, but still young enough to believe that if something happened, I will simply go somewhere else. That reassurance sits comfortably in the mind when you are not the one in the hot seat. Years passed, and eventually the environment around me began to change as well. I was a senior director at the time, and my department had suddenly become the center of attention for the organization. A new CEO arrived, a new CFO followed, and almost overnight, the atmosphere shifted. Conversations changed, priorities shifted, and you could feel that everyone in the department was now being evaluated through a completely different lens. What many people didn't know is that for about a year before that moment, I had already been thinking about leaving corporate. The idea of building my own business has been sitting quietly in the back of my mind for a long time. But the fear was real. The what ifs were loud. The responsibility of walking away from a stable career kept me awake at night. So the idea stayed where many dreams stay, present but untouched. Until the moment I saw the direction everything was heading. Within 1 month, I submitted my resignation. It was one of the most uncomfortable decisions I had ever made. And at the same time, it was the moment my business truly began to take shape. And let me tell you, what my instincts had been telling me turned out to be right. Within 7 months, the entire department was gone. One vice president was moving to a different area of the company, but most of the team disappeared. My assistant stayed for a few more years, moving from one department to another until eventually she was let go as well. Before that happened, they asked her to train others, share her files, and document her processes. She knew what was coming. And if you have ever been in corporate during a season of layoffs, you know the feeling when HR calls you into the office. You already understand what that meeting means. So if you are listening right now and that quiet fear has started to show up in your mind, my advice is simple. Prepare your exit plan before someone else prepares it for you. I know some of you are already thinking, Catherine, I'm not an entrepreneur. And I understand that. But surviving and advancing inside a corporate environment for 10, 20, or 30 years tells me something important about you. It tells me you have execution skills. It tells me you are adaptable. It tells me you have discipline and the ability to navigate pressure while still delivering results. What needs to happen next is not that you suddenly reinvent yourself. What needs to happen is that you begin packaging what you already know how to do. Start thinking about your expertise in terms of problems you solve rather than titles you held. Instead of only looking at roles inside larger organizations, begin paying attention to small and mid-sized companies that desperately need experienced professionals who can organize chaos, lead teams, manage operations, and solve real business problems. These companies often don't need another corporate title. They need someone resourceful, dependable, and capable of wearing multiple hats while moving things forward. And once you begin looking at your experience through that lens, something interesting happens. You realize there are many organizations, startups, and growing businesses that would gladly bring in someone like you for projects, consulting work, or ongoing strategic support. Financially, it can surpass what you were earning before, but the deeper reward is something else entirely. It gives you leverage, it gives you momentum, and it gives you the peace of mind that comes from knowing your future is not tied to a single company's decision. Because the truth is, your age doesn't make you irrelevant. Your experience makes you adaptable in a system that still relies heavily on people who know how to think, execute, and lead under pressure. As we close today, friend, I want you to remember this. If you are feeling that quiet anxiety about the future of your role, you are not alone. I see you. I understand the weight of everything you have built and the fear of losing it. But the same experience that made you valuable inside of a corporation can also become the foundation for something that belongs entirely to you. So let me ask you this. At what point do you stop assuming your career only has one possible path and start exploring the many ways your expertise could create opportunities somewhere else? And at what point do you give yourself permission to prepare for the next chapter before someone else decides it for you? Friend, if you are standing at that crossroads right now, know that you are not alone in this moment. I see you, and I'm here walking alongside you as you figure out what comes next. Before you go, if this episode resonated, you need to be on my email list. Every Wednesday, I send out marketing strategies, mindset shifts, and AI tips you can actually use. No fluff. Head to katherinebeltran.com/move, and I will see you in your inbox this Wednesday. Love the show? Hit subscribe. See you next time.